guys, I'm Rio, and this is Coloring Passports, your ticket around the world one species at a time. We are currently in the freshwater book, and today we are taking on the crappie. Now, I'm pretty excited about this because the interference on these fish is just bedazzling. They are just little sparkling machines. So, without further ado, let's get right into this. Okay, guys, the background noise is the heater because it is freezing cold in the studio this morning. So, you just have to bear with that. I'll try to speak over it. I'm sure I can be loud enough. No problem there. I am taking the liberty to swatch a few of these colors. This is the powder blue. We're going to get right into this today. I didn't draw all your scales for you on this particular fish, so we're going to have to really be aware of that situation. Now, he has got, or she, I don't know, has got, there's going to be a highlight on this fish up here at the top of his back. Then there's also going to be some of this blue sporadically back here on his tail. So I'm just going to come in and make my little O's because that starts to mimic scale pattern. And with this powder blue, it's so high value, which means it has a lot of white in it, that I can kind of get a little bit heavy-handed with it if I want to. He's going to have some of that up here on his face. Eyeball. The kitties are probably going to visit the studio today as well. It's a little bit cooler today. Today's the first real cool fall day for Missouri. That's where I'm filming these at right now, is Missouri. My studio in Missouri. I'm headed back to Florida shortly though. Okay, so don't be alarmed. Where I was going with that is don't be alarmed if the cats jump on the counter or whatever. Don't be alarmed. My sweet babies. Okay. So in between, now these crappie have a lot of variations on their fins, so we have to make sure that we're aware that that's going to be going on. So I'm just bringing this blue right on the edge of the fin, in here in between the bumpies and the little specks of color that this crappie has. We're just going to add some of this powder blue. We're going to go in with a little bit darker gray color here in just a minute. I'm also going to come in behind here and do this. I might switch things up here in just a sec because sometimes it's easier for me to work on the fish when the background is done. Sometimes it's better to do all the hardcore coloring on the fish first and then come back in for the background colors. So we're just going to we're going to bounce around a little bit. So on the back side of this fish here, one of the under colors is going to be this mineral orange, I think. Let me swatch this. And normally, when I'm working with a lot darker, a lot heavier valued, or heavier hued, heavier valued pigments, I don't worry so much about swatching my color because I can really kind of just adapt. But with how light colored, how light skinned this fish is, we have to be very aware of what we're putting on the canvas first, because you can't go lighter once you work with this. So I know for a fact that we're going to be darker under here. He's going to obviously have a shadow under here. There's going to be a shadow where the fins attach. There's going to be a shadow on the belly. There's going to be a shadow right here. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of draw that in for a minute. There is a kitty. Hi, Mama T. Yes, so Mama T says hi. As she walks across my desk to get to the window perch, which she could have just gone to without doing that, but you know, cats. cats. Okay, so again, getting in here a little bit because I know this is going to be a little bit darker. I'm always nervous about how dark I'm going, but this is going to be okay. So I'm going to set this color up here because see, all of these colors work together. They just work together very nicely. So this is the 30% cool gray in the Prismacolor collection. So I'm going to come over here and start laying in a little bit of this, just barely, on the gills, on his jaw, on the gill plate, underneath his mouth here. We're just going to start laying in some color. It's going to have some of that up here as a reflection. See, that's the thing too. The reflections on these, you have a tendency to want to use white, but the reflections really aren't white. They're blues and grays. Sometimes they're lavenders. And then the light shines through as yellows, not white, yellows. So we're going to kind of come in here and do a little lining up in between the colors here. Gonna have some of this gray in here on the edges. I'm gonna sharpen this really quickly. I want a harder point. See, that's the point we're going for there. Let me see if I can, because that will allow me to get into here with some finer details on this. So I know for a fact that we're going to be a little bit darker back here on the back side of his back, going right over that blue, and see it's starting to develop. I don't know if you can see it in the screen or not, but it is starting to develop pretty nicely. Okay, I don't quite. Now, over the top of this is going to be some greens. But we're just gradually building this up. This fish is not a hard fish to draw, not a hard fish to illustrate, but definitely a little more challenging with the illustration because of how light-skinned they all are. So, gotta be aware of that. Okay. Now, we're going to come in with this yellow here. This is the cream color. And I am going to go all over the entire dorsal fin here. And y'all, I just realized that I didn't draw a portion. This dorsal fin is not disconnected. This dorsal fin is absolutely connected. So I just didn't add that little ridge right there. Sorry. Draw it in yourself. You've got this. You can do it. I have full faith in your ability to make that happen. So I'm going to come in here. Now I'm going to fill in all of the areas that have nothing on them and color right over a great portion of what's already there. Over here, same thing. Gonna fill a lot of this in here with this cream color that I can make a little more intense if I need to, really. Then I'm going to come in and go over that orange with the cream color and start blending that into the fin pattern just a touch. Then I'm going to take that same color and starting here on the behind the gill plate, I'm going to make big loopies. And I'm going to just go ahead and lay that color in. I'm going to color right over the pectoral fin. Now I'm not going to color that yellow over the top up here. I'm not doing that. I'm going to come over here, add a touch of that yellow over here. Not a ton, just a little. And it's gonna just look like a mess for a while. You're gonna have to just trust the process on this one, because this one's gonna be a hot mess until it isn't. And I'm not sure what that time frame looks like. Okay, I'm gonna come in here with this light green. And just in a few areas, very random. I'm not filling in a whole entire patch of color at all. So I'm going to start building up this green around the scales that I have drawn here. We're just going to loosely, because I want some of that yellow to stay, but I want some of this green to show through eventually as well. Now most of this is going to get covered up, so don't get ate up about it being perfect and all of that jazz. It's not necessary. Most of it is going to get completely covered up, so it's just part of the building up process to get this fish to be as multicolored as possible when we're done with him. And you see, I'm just stringing along here. I'm going to fill in the top part of his face here with some of this green. And again, I know if you're going, oh my gosh, Rio, the fish is not this color. You're right, he's not, but he does have some of this color in him, and so we have to lay that color down first before we can go forward. So far we have 2 shades of gray, a blue, an orange, a yellow, and a green, almost the entire rainbow in this fish. Okay, so I think that the next thing I want to do is put in the darker scale pattern. I think that that will kind of move it along a little faster. So let's grab some colors. Okay, let's do this. Let's get in here and add some of the darker color. I don't know. Should I do the background first? I always have this issue. I don't know what I have these in my hand and I really like these, but I'm gonna put these down. I'm gonna grab the dark umber and the peacock green. Yeah. Actually, that's not true. I'm going to do this first. I'm going to grab green ochre. This color's gorgeous. I mean, just gorgeous. So let's get up here and let's start laying in some darker color up here on his face. Oh my goodness sakes. Oh my goodness. Okay, I got to color in little tiny baby circles because, again, it mimics the scale pattern. And I'm randomly pushing a little harder in some areas and not so hard in others. And I'm kind of leaving that blue streaky up there just a touch. I mean, I'm going to kind of paint over it, but not really. Then I'm going to just kind of break it up here just a little bit. Just because I need to see the little blue. Because see, here's the thing. There's a ridge like right in here somewhere. And this probably isn't going to be perfect. But I am not going for perfect. I'm going for practice here because I've never done one of these before. This is the first time I've ever illustrated a crappie. So I know that his lip is going to be darker here. Yeah. Y'all, I've got the window open in the studio. It's finally not so cold that I can take it. I'm gonna so if you hear other noises outside, that's why. Nature. Oh, and that's my sweet kitty one out through the window when the back door's open. Gigi. Gigi, you're the sweetest thing. Okay, around the eyeball, not all of the eye, always breaking all that up as well. There's like a little nose hole up here that we want to be aware of. I'm going to come in with the dark umber. Ugh, it's just so much. I changed my mind. I'm coming back in with the peacock green. Oh yeah, that's the color. There it is. Okay. You know, my neighbors probably think I'm crazy. I'm good with it though. Switching back and forth. Oh my goodness. Do you hear that poor baby? Alright, kitties are successfully outside. Gonna take this. Oh, where's it? I'm gonna start. I'm going to build the eyeball and around the eyeball a little bit here. Because all of this is super dark. But, you know, you can't just color it all in solid. You gotta take it in little pieces. So I'm taking this green that's really intense. It's called dark green. And then I'm obviously going to color on top of it like usual. And you guys that have been working on these tutorials for a while now, you know the drill. We're going to go in here, we're going to add a little bit of green right on top of that ochre color that we added earlier. These guys are very scaly. So we got that down. Now let's go in here with the dark umber right on top. I want some of that blue right in here too. The lighter colored fish are harder for me to talk to while I'm doing them. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to pay attention to what's going on in the video. Gonna have a little bit of blue right there. There's this, and then this is obviously going to be in the blues as well, and then this is going to be wild. Yeah. Okay, and then we're going to have this darker back here. See, I've helped you out a little bit by really adding detail into the pupil of the fish. So now you're just going to go in with little pieces of darker color and just kind of add the striations in the iris part. Set it back down in there. I want that peacock. Whoop, dropping my pencils. I want this area to be a little, yeah, there we go. I want some more of this color in here. Even though it looks really garish right now, it won't in a minute because I'm going to go over it with that brown pencil. See how I'm not coloring all of this? I'm leaving some of this open. You know, I draw the scales because I remember what it was like when I was new at this, and I was scared that I wouldn't be able to get the scale patterns in, and so I've tried to eliminate as much stress for you as possible, but really these scales here now are going to stick out more than they should because I did draw them in for you. Kind of a hazard of the job hazard there. I'm going over this with the cream color, and I'm pushing pretty hard. And then I'm going to go over this mouth portion with some other hues, because it's not the final look we're going for here. We're just trying to add a little bit more. Just adding a little bit of color. That's the name of the game. Color on color on color. Olive green. Can hear the train. I don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear the train. And the gazillions of birds in my yard. Okay, underneath here we're going to start adding in just a few lines. And again, we're not going for perfection, we're just I feel like this is would be super dark right up here. And then it would kind of, you know, fade out. Let's see. Let's come back in. Let's come up here over this. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so I thought I was filming and I wasn't, and I got a little ahead, so let me catch you up. Sorry. So I went over, I just took the Prismacolor white and just went over all of this whole area here just to start to develop, because that fish is more white than anything else, but it has tons of colors in it, so you just got to kind of keep going back and forth. And see how when you go over it all with the white, it sort of brings it all to life. And we'll go over that with a few other colors as well. But, you know, for right now, this is what I'm doing. You know, I've got his eyeball kind of in line, in check with where it needs to be. I'm pushing super hard to add some highlights here. Kind of bring out highlights on his mouth. Highlight there. See how that brings him forward? And it's, I understand that it's a little bit hard to do with the lines that have been drawn in the illustration. But again, practice! Field practice. That's what this is. Field practice. Ooh, I like that. That was an accidental discovery there. Taking that white. This is the background color I laid down is periwinkle blue. which, you know, may or may not be the greatest choice for this. I don't really know. But I also know that I just need to start seeing something other than the green to kind of get this fish to come alive here. And I like this color. And I might have a gouache color in this color, which will be very convenient. You know how we did the gouache over the bluegill. I'm going to color really super, super hard. I know this is open here and this is open right here. That's gonna be so pretty. Oh, wow, I like it. Okay, that's working. It is in fact working. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of this cloud blue. That's my cat scratching on my good chairs. What's up, Mama T? Okay. Cloud blue right over the top. I like it. Wow, I actually do really truly like that. So we're using these three colors in the background. We're using the periwinkle, the cloud blue, and the white. And what are you hissing at? Goodness. Okay, we're gonna grab marine green and come in here. This leaf is flipped over, so there'd be a shadow here. And a kitty cat here. Really like this color. In fact, I think this color is going to end up being up here on the crappie. Don't mind the cats. Mama T has weaned the babies and she's trying to teach them about personal boundaries right now. So she's going to be growling in the background. And that's okay. gonna grab that dark umber again and just darken this up just a touch more. Putting that back down. Let's go back to this. And you see how some of these lines I'm making darker, some of them I'm barely touching the paper, and I'm making patterns because when the light shines through on the vegetation, it's not going to give you a solid color. It's going to be variegated. And I want it to be cohesive, so I'm putting a little bit of that color in every one of them. I'm definitely using this marine green throughout this crappie. I'm telling you right now, it's definitely the color. I'm already knowing that this is going to do this. Little streak of it through here. Coming back here. I think there's a mistake in the illustration. This line right here, should not be there. That should have got erased. And we edit and edit and edit. We pay people to edit that haven't, that aren't attached to the project like we are. And it goes through 4 to 6 editing processes, and we missed that line right there in the book. That's kind of funny to me. So this is here. See how I just drew those scales right over the top? And we're going to come up here and we're going to kind of press in some. And see, the beautiful part about this already being really slick with color is that we literally can just go right over the top of all of this. With this makeshift scale pattern. And it works. Just decide where you want some of those dark scales to be. I know we're bouncing around a lot, but you know, that's kind of how I roll with these. Okay, I want to go back to the background for a minute. So I have the periwinkle. I'll put my fingernail at the edge of the paper to try to keep from coloring, pulling the paper up enough to color on the backs on the next coloring page. I'm trying not to do that. I'm going to take some of this periwinkle into this grass. Just the pieces that are in the very background though. And what that's going to do is just set these pieces down. Put a little atmosphere on it. Put some distance in it so they're on different planes. And take this cloud blue, is that what this is? Yeah, cloud blue. I like this cloud blue color. I think it's really pretty. Let's go right over that. So what that does is kind of add the illusion of some sunlight kind of coming through there so that it's not just a solid look. Is this a lighter color? Indeed it is. Okay, so up here I'm going to grab the blue, violet, There's two mistakes on this illustration. Remember, I didn't draw this in either. So there's a line missing there, and I didn't erase this line here in the fish. Yep, that was me. I did that. It's all good. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, so if I put the white down first. And then I come in with the cloud blue, I get a whole different effect. Not sure I'm liking it. Oh, it's not terrible. Gotta come back over it with some of that darker color. And break up those lines. I don't like the solid. Okay, it's not terrible. Getting in there hardcore. I mean, I'm pushing super hard on this background. Okay. There we go. That's not terrible. Okay, so I'm going to take these three colors and I'm just going to set them aside for right now. Those are my background colors. Let's get back into the grass. Okay, so I'm kind of feeling like some of the grass needs a little bit of sunshine on it. So we're going to grab, ooh, that orange peel. There we go. That's lime peel, sorry, not orange peel. Gonna fill in some of these areas here where I left it white. You see that's gonna read like light on there. It's also the color of the fish. Ugh. I'm just filling all of this in so that there's a little bit of light on all of this, just a touch. Even on these pieces that are darker, see? So there's a really nice variation of color there. Okay, let's come back in with this Kelly green. See, in some of those places I colored a lot heavier and some of them a lot lighter with the Kelly green. And it just looks like you spent all this time and put all this variation into the grass in the background. Then we're going to go over it and we're going to dull it out a little bit with some of the gray colors so that we can set it down behind the fish. You know, I still have a lot to learn with the colored pencils. Every time I do one of these illustrations, I feel like I learned something new. So we're just going to learn how to do it together. That's why we're doing it in the book instead of on professional, grade paper. And I got to tell you, this is the first time that I've illustrated a fish that I didn't have, it in the back of my mind how I was going to sell it and all of this other stuff. So it's very nice to get to learn this way. I hope you enjoy this process as well. Okay. I need one of those blender things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the light, sky blue light. I'm just going to make some marks on here. Then we're going to do it in the yellow. And all I'm doing is kind of cutting across like where the light would shine through. I'm going to add some of that right there. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Oh wow. Yep. That's helping. Then there's some of it back right in here. Push super hard and add some of that color right there. turning out pretty nice. I don't like all of this over here and this over here, so I don't know what I'm going to do with this section, but, you know, we'll figure that out as we go along. So I want to add a little more color. Sorry for the reach across here. I'm going to grab the sand color, and I want to come in and just add a little more color here to the crappie's fins. Just a touch more, just a touch. Just gonna warm it up a little bit. Wow. Just gonna warm it up a little bit just to see what happens. So then I'm gonna put a little bit of that right there. Okay, I'm gonna put the sand back. So I'm kind of feeling like I need to figure out the color here on the body and just get on down the road with it, because we've already spent quite a bit of time on this. I've got goldenrod. Ooh. I'm going to come in down here and I'm going to just start filling in the bottom part of this fish. And I know this color is really wild, but I got a feeling this color is going to work. So we're just going to color right over everything we've already done here. And then we're going to kind of come back in and color over some of this again. But see how when I go over some of this green in just parts of it with the goldenrod, we just get a little bit of different variation in the scale pattern. That's all. And that's what I'm looking for, a little different variation. I'm also going to put a little bit of it in his dorsal fin just to check it out and see if it works. So I'm going to put that color back. Oh my goodness. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the neon yellow. Ugh! Okay. Wow, that might be too much. Whew! That's a lot. That's some craziness right there. Woo! That's some serious craziness. I'm gonna kind of come in here and do a little squiggle. Well, that makes me seriously nervous. Okay, it's all right. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it together. Okay. So we got to start darkening this up down here a little bit, which always makes me nervous. It always makes me nervous, but this is way too light down here. So I've got the 90% warm gray. And I'm just going to start kind of coming in here and just going around some of these scales. Oh, that's really intense. I'm going to grab the French gray. 90% French gray. And just kind of go over that a little bit. Also want to come in and, oh yeah, that's the color that I want for that. So we're just going to come in and randomly start putting in areas of darker, flecky, is that working? I don't know. Is it working? I can't tell. This one might be the first one that I'm like, I don't even know about that. Maybe not. Gotta darken up in between the spines on his fin here. I have the window open because we have a fly come in and he's refusing to fly back out. Oh my goodness. Okay. Gonna go in right over that green and just I'm digging all the interaction around his face. I think that's really super cool. The marine green kind of has a purpose here. And I know that these fish are all different. They all have different colors. I mean, there's white crappie and black crappie, but even within that variation, depending on what body of water you pull them out of, depends on the color of the fish. Like my daughter is holding a very, very brightly colored white crappie in the photograph. And then, you know, I'm coming in here with the darker colored crappie because it's easier to color the darker color with you guys. With a limited color palette range than it is to do the lighter colored one. And I don't know, I might just decide that I'm not going to do it that way and get in here and just start adding some interference colors all over this thing and call it good, because I'm grabbing the cloud blue, which is a color that I use directly in the water. I'm going to start adding some of that right on top here to all of this. No idea if this is going to work. No idea at all. But I feel like I've got to get some more color down on this fish, and I want this part of him to be a higher value, white, if you will, a whiter variation. This is that cool gray, which is going to be a blue gray. Let's see if we use the moss green. It's not really the moss green though, is it? This is hard because I'm not grabbing the correct colors at this point. I'm just not using the correct colors. Hang on, let me do a color swatch. So here's what happened. I took one of the grays, the 50% cool gray, and I just started laying in the idea of scales because I just didn't like the way this was shaping up. So, and you know, it just is what it is. Sometimes it's a little more challenging to make these work out than what you have anticipated. This one is challenging. And I'm probably going to go outline this with an ink, with a marker, because I feel like it needs to have a little more love on it. Now I'm going to grab this light green and I'm just going to randomly come in and add some of this light green in different areas. Because this fish is highly reflective, has lots of different color going on in him. This is true green. Gonna add a little bit of this. Ooh, that's really intense. That's okay though. It's gonna look like lights hitting him up there. Gonna add some of that over here. Look at that. Not terrible. I'm liking it. I think it's good. Prussian green. What's the Prussian green? Oh yeah, that's a lovely color. Now again, this could be a lot darker. Could be a lot of things. Could be a lot of things. This slate blue. I'm going to come in with the slate blue and start coloring in over here for this. And maybe back here. Maybe we'll just come in back here and just roughly kind of outline some of this area so that the tail isn't just back here all by itself with no color. It's not hanging out all alone. We missed that little spot right there. I'm going to add a little bit of this slate blue. Ooh, yeah, there we go. That works. Right over the top. Right over the top of some of the fins. I don't like how dirty his fin looks here, but we're going to fix that in just a second. So, I'm feeling like I'm going to come in with my Faber-Castell marker, and I'm just going to slightly go over the lines of some of this. Because I haven't tried that part yet. Full disclaimer, y'all. I'm not claiming to be a master illustrator. I am learning right along with you. So I'm trying to figure out what works and what doesn't as well as we go along. And I don't want to outline the entire fish, I don't think. But I do want to outline some of it. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, that's not terrible. I also have thicker markers that I could come in and give a thicker line to. It's kind of cool. Okay, I don't have a problem with much of this. See, when I initially drew this for you, I didn't consider the fact that I would maybe want to come back in and outline some of this stuff. And these are very, very waxy, colored pencils. So, okay, there's that. Now I'm going to take my white colored pencil and I'm going to come back here and I'm going to hit some of these areas super, super hard. right on the fat part of his back. And a little bit up here where the light might be hidden. And it's not ever going to be perfect. It's pretty messy back here in this section on his tail. Just is what it is. There we go. Now let's get into the paint part of this, because I think that's going to bring it all together. I think that's going to really help bring it all together. So I grabbed a touch of the darker it's like a black metallic, and I'm just going to come in and just bounce some of that color right on top, and it's barely going to stick. In fact, it might not stick. We might have colored so much on the with the oily colored pencils that it might not stick at all. So, you know, it is kind of what it is. The cats are going wild in the studio, and I've let them in to keep from listening to them cry, because they cry, and I hate that. So if you hear things falling in the background, that's the baby kitties doing baby kitty things. Okay, so I'm just grabbing some different colors here, and I'm just coming in and just bouncing some of this color all over this beautiful fish. And I'm cleaning my brush off in between colors. Ooh, that's good. That one's really good. That's pretty. Okay, so I got all those. Now we're going to come in with the interference colors, which typically work a lot better when you're putting them on super dark color. But this fish isn't intended to be that, so grab some blue here. A little bit of the red. Some of the gold interference. Yeah, guess what? That marker's not permanent. Shapoody. That is a shapoody moment. It's okay. We're just going to ignore it. Because this fish is almost done. Alright, y'all. That's my field study for the crappie. I'm going to come in here and mix a few more of these interference colors together, because that's what they look like, and they're like oil slicks when you bring them up. They're just gorgeous. Truly gorgeous fish. Okay. Let's be done. Let's be done, because let's be honest, I could keep going and going and going and going and going, but it won't make it any, it may or may not enhance the picture, and this is just for practice. So I think we've learned a lot with this page, and think it's time to sign it and get on down the road. So with that, let's grab a pencil. Wow, it's hard to sign it with as hard as I've colored on there. Lesson learned. Lessons learned. Okay. Let's see what it looks like in the light, shall we? Ooh, look at that fish shine. Oh, yeah. Yep, I'm happy with that. Oh, yeah. Not terrible. Looks like a crappie. Definitely looks like a crappie. All right, so that's it. Thanks for joining me in the studio. It's been another episode of Coloring Passports, and I'm Rio, and I will see you on the next page.